Hello, welcome to the Banshee video. Quick overview of her is she's actually really busted, but she's actually way too strong for most normal content, so that's why she isn't played a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people say that they use her for lich killing because her sonar multiplicative damage does affect them, and yeah, weapon buff Banshee is like extremely easy to pull off. I mean, you have like Saren weapon buff. Gauss, his entire thing is being a weapons platform, pretty much, other than like speed running and cool thermal sunder stuff. I did try running thermal sunder on Banshee off of her 4, but I decided that Zada's Whisper is actually better because Void doesn't have an affiliation, so it doesn't like override your primary or secondary weapon elemental effects, which is a thing thermal sunder can do. If you have like a flat element that can add heat or cold, it will just override into the next element, and sometimes that can quite literally be taking a good element such as heat and then imbuing it with cold, making it blast, which is the worst element in the game basically. So yeah, she clears like a ton of game content in no problem. Like, Sonar is such a good ability that she pretty much cleans house. Plus, if you use her one augment, first off, range is really good on her, obviously, as you just saw here. And then Sonar adds, on this build, I think I have an 8 multiplier, and it just absolutely shreds every enemy in the game, especially once you start like factoring in galvanized mods, and also companions, status afflictions, and such like that. Also, that was a 1.7 mil hit, so she is extremely good. She has one of the, probably the best, one of the best just forms of raw CC, which is in Silence, which just hard stuns everybody and disables Eximus abilities from hitting you. Kind of like Violence, the Acolyte. You basically get that on your Warframe. Super good in every content type. And I'll explain that her augment is super good. Sonar Resonance, which is her 2's augment, is extremely strong, mainly because Sonar stacks twice on every body part. So the way Sonar works is it picks left arm, left leg, right leg, body, torso, and head. That can stack twice, so you can actually multi-spam Sonar so that it affects multiple pieces of the body. It won't overlap more than twice, however. So let's pop this once. And on this one, we see it's on his leg and arm. And then if we pop it again, it has moved to his chest, arm. And it will just stack like this a lot. It's kind of messy with my hound messing with things, but yeah, no, she's extremely strong. Her one's augment armor strips pretty efficiently, actually, and is very low cost. It's like I was gonna say Necros' Terrify is decently low cost, and it's very effective because it goes through walls. Sonic Boom, however, does not, if I'm correct. You can easily test this, however, by standing face against this wall and pressing. Yeah, it doesn't have, it has an LOS check, but overall it's pretty good because it is a hard CC on normal enemies, and it does affect Eximus units as well. We can quickly show that. Eximus. And I will even go a bit further. We'll do this, and then pause AI off. And then we'll come over here. Silence remains active in a bubble around you. So as you see, it just disabled those. Obviously, I was going to go down here. There's like no opportunity for me not to. Honestly, I'm walking into how many enemies? But it does affect Eximus units, so it's good for doing that and then just blowing them up past with Sonar. This was not a very smart idea on my part. At least it's easy to stand back up. Unless I'm just bad at this game. It's fine. Get over here and disable them real quick so I don't have to keep dealing with them. But yeah, Sonar's pretty good. Very, very good at that. Combined with some high damage weapons, obviously I'm using the Kuva Heck here, but it works with explosive weapons too. pretty well, actually. Let me get heavy gunners out of here. Oop, I'm not on the search. Correct. Birds, 20 of them, and simulate. And then turn their AI off so I don't have a problem. Sonar actually works with explosive weapons as well. So yeah, it's kind of pretty good. Because it counts as just hitting them, so it will proc for the body part. Making any explosive or even single shot weapons really effective. Single shot weapons still get the if it lands on the head, it still gets the 2.5 times multiplier from the headshot, but it will also get the sonar ping. Using this one, I have a 9 times damage bonus with a good range and good duration. I just went for an all-rounded build here. I'm using a red shard for duration and amber for casting speed because a lot of her abilities lock her in place. Silence, we have a pretty good range here, covers most rooms, and has a decent duration so that you won't be forced into a situation where you don't have your CC up. This is her bread and butter for staying alive. She is very fragile with 370 in both health and shields here, and very, very low armor, 135. This keeps her up, makes sure that nothing can really afflict her, and makes sure you can't get demolished by an Eximus because they have their abilities shut off. Sonic Boom has a really good range, and the good thing to note is it's in a cone shape, so it's very good to keep that in mind when you're entering a room or anything and you're going to use it to armor strip. And here we got Transient Fortitude, Sonic Fracture, Flow, Prime Continuity, Stretch, Rolling Guard just in case, Resonance, and Intensify. Obviously, just rounds out the stats. Using Molt Augmented, we can stack this even further. At max Molt Augmented, it's roughly 60% additional ability strength, meaning Sonar can easily push over 10 times. Especially if you want to edit some of this, like Blind Rage, screw efficiency, bam, 11.4. I prefer to keep my efficiency pretty good on this build, because overall, you will be spamming this a lot. Resonance is super, super good, because if you just kill them, especially with a explosive weapon, because it will auto proc the weak spot trigger, it will just ping again. And with this build, we get a pretty nice 50 meters in there. So it's always good to keep that in mind, especially when in your weapon choice, she can make pretty, like, okay weapons really good. Let's pull out the funny. Where's the Gatva? This is an okay weapon that kind of suffers from just low damage because of how they have it. Where on status chances, it will increase the chance of having a red crit. With this build, it does get up some decent damage, and with that, we can easily stack on damage and keep this gun rolling and keep it moving. So yeah, even weapons that aren't conventionally super strong and are more for the sustain, Sonar makes really good. She's actually one of probably the best leveling weapon frames in the game, just because she can amp that damage of a low weapon 9 times is pretty good, if I do say so myself. I run Zada's Whisper on her mainly because it's a pure damage type, which makes it very, very easy to just deal flat damage without having to worry about it. Obviously, this weapon's a little weird on status, and Zada's Whisper is also a weird ability. Zada's Whisper just works extremely weirdly, but it does have some interesting interactions, especially if you're using weapons like the Dread, which has an innate, extremely high punch through, or as I talked about in the Citrine video, if I'm correct, the Exorgist is also really good with Zada's Whisper, because this will continually, if you proc on the Sonar body, you proc Sonar on the body, it will just keep going through it back onto the body, meaning you can farm up damage, and Resonance will spread it to every body part as you kill more, so this stacks up damage extremely fast. Obviously, we're still limited by the fire rate with the reload speed and such, but overall, this gun does a lot of damage already. With Sonar, it cranks it. You can easily hit mills. So Yeah, Banshee's a really good character. She's super fragile, so she's not really like widely used in a lot of content. But if you're looking for a frame that can just easily buff a weapon that you're really trying to get to work, if you have just general util character, she's probably a really good one to pick up. Overall, Sonar is absolutely busted. It affects Liches and Tenant Sisters. It affects Xmas units. The Sonic Boom will knock down normal enemies and armor strip all of them with the Augment. Silence is super, super good. And if you want to, Savage Silence is a really good augment, multiplying your finisher damage or your stealth attack damage. I use Savage Silence on Ash because it cranks his damage up. It's extremely strong. Her 4 is kind of weak, but it is like if you're doing like low game content, it's pretty good. You can use like Soundquake, which just echoes a boom, and it used to one-shot enemies. I don't know how efficient it is anymore. It's kind of fallen out of use. Her 4 is definitely her flex slot, so you could throw on, I did Zada's, maybe Thermal Thunder. I don't think you can throw, no, you can definitely throw Eclipse on this, because Sonar doesn't count the same way they do. Or Roar even. Roar would work too, because it would probably buff Sonar as well. Nourish, anything of that sort. So, she's really good. Super, super strong. Super, super good.